Octavia.
Thank you, Pastor Larry. Hey, guys. Hey. Welcome to the Marital Toolbox. Thank you for being with me and my special guest. I don't know if she's a special guest, but you have seen her on here with me. Now, if you're watching the cast, the www.cast radio, you will see her with me. But if you're just watching the Facebook right here, you're probably not going to see it. You're not going to see her with me, kind of like that. I'm not sure how to, mess with technology like that. I probably can right now invite her in, but she's on her phone now, so no, I can't do that. But anyway, I do have a guest that is here on me. Her name is Marie, my sister Marie Hurd. I'm so happy that she accepted. Now I can't see her, but I'm sure she can see me. I'm sure she can see me. But there she go. Now I can see her. But anyway, now I can see her. You guys can't see her, but I can see her. So I'm not on here by myself. So if you hear me sobbing a little bit, I do have it up loud enough where you can hear her. And the phone is next to you. So if she comment, you can hear what she's saying, okay? So anyway, thank you for joining with her and I in the Marital Toolbox. And of course, I'm on every other Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. So 5:30 to 6 p.m. So it is just a half an hour show. And so a half an hour show where I try to just, try to pick different topics, because I do have topics sent to me, or I may have a topic that I'm thinking about during the week, like, oh, wow, let me see if I can, mess with that topic or something like that. So, but anyway, so the Toolbox is a marital show. I know it's a marital show, but we talk about marriage. We talk about singleness. I can talk about singleness. I can basically talk about just basically anything, whatever the topic is, whatever the topic that you send me, I can pretty much talk about it. If you've been following us, follow me before. And the reason why I'm saying us, because my sister has been on that show with two other my sisters. Nothing is left off the table. If you send it, we're going to tackle it the best way that we know how. And as I always say, that you that do follow and watch, we can agree to disagree. Now, you may not agree with everything that is said on the Marital Toolbox, and that's fine. I'm fine with it, because what tool may have worked for my marriage or somebody's singleness, or whoever is on here talking may not work for you. Okay, so that's what a toolbox is. All the tools serve a purpose in a toolbox. Okay, and so it's just a matter of knowing what tool works right for your marriage, for your singleness, for your family, for your children, whether you've experienced divorce, whether you're in the middle of a separation, whatever is going on, it's just a matter of finding what tool works for you. And so the tools is our conversation. Okay, so that is the tools, our conversation. And as I always say, also too, we give advice, just take whatever, you think that you can. That I was thinking about, because I watch other marital shows too on Facebook and different places. And so I was listening to watching another marital show, and the conversation came up, happily ever after. What is happily ever after? Is marriage lasting? Because we do see marriages that do last. Like I have an aunt. Listen, she's been married for over 60 something years. So we know that marriages can last. You understand what I'm saying? And then some people, marriages have lasted longer than that, till death do them part. You know what I'm saying? Right. 70 and 85 years, 95 years. So I'm not saying, I'm not bringing the question across as if a marriage can't last. But how about we talk about what are the tools that can have a lasting marriage like that? 60, 65 years. That's them some decade marriages. Yeah. 75. My aunt has been married. I'm not even sure how long. I know it's over 60, because it might be over 70, because I think she in her 70s, because she got married when they were teenagers. So it might be near 70 or something, but like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, now I know she talked about, my aunt would talk about her issues and different things they had in a marriage, from all types of stuff, but somehow But my uncle, he passed recently though. He passed a year ago. But they was married like for about 70, almost 60, 70 years.
Right.
But what did it take? What we're going to discuss, what do we think it take? Because we're both married.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we take? What do we think it take to even be married that long? What do you think, Marie? Married that long, 70 and 80 and 85 years.
Yeah.
Like what do we, to each his own with it, but like we know love, we know communication, but what happened with the bumps? I know it's bumps somewhere, but how do you get over the bumps to extend a marriage to 70 to 85 years? So is marriage lasting?
Yeah.
What do you think, sis?
I think you need a lot of grace. Grace is a hard word for some people because they want it, but they don't know how to extend it. So I think it takes a lot of grace.
Hope y'all can hear her.
Some understanding. And I think it takes some flexibility.
Yes.
I think it takes some learning how to be quiet.
Yes, a whole lot of learning how to be quiet. 80, 85 years, a whole lot of learning how to be quiet.
Everything doesn't require a response. And some people think that everything requires a response, and it doesn't. Sometimes the best response is no response.
Right.
Yeah. And like you said, a lot of communication. A lot of communication.
A whole lot of communication. That's a lot of talking. A lot of communication, because then I'm thinking, people talk about, and I think we've talked about it on the show a while back when all the girls was together. We talked about it, the secret of success to a marriage.
Yeah.
We never really came up with one secret of success, because each of us had our own secrets of how we maintained in our marriages. So it's really not no one secret of success of a successful marriage. I think it's what you also said too, growing in grace, growing with each other, not forgetting to grow with each other, turning them curves with each other, turning them corners with each other, knowing when it's time to evolve, because I was married for 25 years, and I mean, it was growth in that. We had to learn how to grow with the stages and ages of our marriage, because we got married in 93. Of course, things is going to change 5 years later. After 93, some type of growth, some type of something.
Right. I agree.
I'm sure. So it's learning how to do that. Oh my God, a lot. Ending, to have a lasting marriage. Somebody just commented on here on Facebook. They said hard to do at hard times. I'm thinking that they said hard times, and then they got asking the Lord to help with the quietness. That's what they said, asking the Lord to help with the quietness, because it does take a lot of hush. You mentioned that, a lot of hush.
Correct. It does.
It really does. A lot. Talk about that, sis, about the hush. A lot of hush. Like, what are the things when you say a lot of hush? Like, what do you mean? Is it compromise? Is it like just being quiet? Is it just letting things go like they're supposed to go? Like, what do you mean by a lot of hush?
It's a combination of all of those, because what's going on might need a conversation or a response, but it might not need it right then. Sometimes you have to let situations cool off. Sometimes a lot of times we answer out of emotion. And so sometimes you have to figure out if that emotion is a temporary emotion, or if it's something, you need to let rest, because everything you can't respond to right away, because you're gonna you're going to react and not respond. So,
right.
yeah. So sometimes you just gotta wait and let things cool down and not go off of that temporary emotion. Some things don't
Right.
require a response at all. You don't have to
Right.
have the
Right.
all the time. And a lot of
Right.
times going singleness to be in a committed relationship, we forget how to be that quiet. Everybody needs peace
Right.
and I believe that you're supposed to be that. If you can't be a peace in anybody's life, whether it be a boyfriend, a husband, a friend, or whatever, don't be the storm. Deal with your own
Right.
storm.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
Yeah, so you should be there to create peace in somebody's life. And like I said, you don't have to always agree. Like you said, you can agree to disagree. You're not gonna agree
Right.
on everything. That's
Right.
just to agree with everything. So you got to learn how to agree to disagree. Okay, we got a difference of opinion. How do we get past that? How do we deal with
Right.
that difference of opinion? So yeah, that's what the
Right.
hush. Everything don't require a response.
Right, right. And that is good. And you said something that was, I think we touched on it too during our times up together. We talked about that reacting and response.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're quick to react. Now, we're still talking about lasting marriages. Like, what is that? How does a marriage last? You know, because we're quick to say, okay, well, God help me. You know, okay, yeah, God does help. You know what I'm saying? But we got a part to do also too. You know, we thank God for the strength of God, the grace of God. We thank God for all of those things. But we also on our end, we have practicalities in our walk that we have to put into use also too. Applications that we also too. You know what I'm saying? Because God, God is going to do it. That's why I didn't kind of feel this, you know, I kind of got away from just feeling this toolbox show up, you know, with being a lot of religion, you know, and different things like that. Because let me tell you something, I found out with being married, what do you do when you're doing everything right and it still turn out wrong? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
when you're doing, you know, you're praying, you're reading the word, you're just doing everything that you know how to do, but it's something still coming up short. You know what I'm saying? How do you... Go ahead, I can't hear you.
You know, how do you, you know, but for the wrong person.
But right, I like that. You can be doing everything. She said you can be doing everything right, but for the wrong person. But you have to determine whether that person is a wrong person or not. You have to determine that yourself. You know whether that's the right person or the wrong person or not. But you know what, but you said that I want to go back to that reacting and responding, because I always differentiate the reacting and the response. A reactive response, I want to explain, is a because response will put you in a place where you want to hear. Like, okay, let me hear so I can properly respond to what you're saying, because I want to make sure somebody put on here saying that you can say the wrong thing, you know, because I'm thinking you saying one thing, and this is what either husband or wife, I'm thinking you saying one thing because out of my perception, you didn't say what you said. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm receiving it somewhere, but a response, that's my stove going off. I got something on. I got some soup on and the timer's going off. So forgive me for that. But, I'm like, you know, so responding takes time. Okay, let me just hear what you're saying. It takes hearing. It takes listening. So these are some of the things that can that can foster a long-lasting marriage, but it's going to take work.
Right.
70, 60, 70, 85 years of marriage, it's going to take some work. And then, God forbid, let's just say, God forbid, infidelity hit your marriage. God forbid, abuse hit your marriage. You still got, now we're looking at long-lasting marriages, but we're not factoring the things that they had to go through and fight through. The
Exactly.
forgiveness. That's what we missed. The forgiveness part, Marie. Forgiving.
Yes.
Over and
Forgiveness.
over. You know how much forgiveness that is in a 70, 85-year-long marriage?
Exactly. A whole lot.
A whole lot of forgiveness. A
Yes.
whole lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A whole lot of love. We forget love.
Yeah, love. You got to, and you can't hold on to stuff. There's no way you're gonna have a lasting
Oh yes,
relationship.
no holding on to
If you
nothing.
hold on and fester and stuff. You can't do that. You're gonna have to let it go. Like you said, that forgiveness, that's a big word. That's a big action.
It's a big action. And guess what? Not only a big action with forgiveness, a big maturity level.
Yes.
Especially if
Yes.
something devastating happened in your marriage. It takes a big person to forgive, and keep it moving.
Yeah. What a lot of people think when they think forgiveness is infidelity or something you said to me. But a lot of people get, a lot of people hold
your comments and sharing. Thank you.
A lot of people hold resentment if the spouse get ill, if the spouse loses their job,
Yes.
miscarriage,
Yes.
all of those things that factor in. They don't extend forgiveness for those things, but a miscarriage could be out of my control. So a lot of people talk through those things. The loss of a child can be devastating to a marriage.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Talk through those things, like you said, and forgiveness. I don't believe that there's any person who would, if say for instance that you were in a car accident and you lost a child in a car accident. A lot of times you see where the other parent holds resentment against that parent that was driving the car. That is some huge forgiveness, because there's no way if you think to say, I didn't go out of here to purposely, you know what I'm saying, cause some type of damage to our family and to our, marriage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A whole lot of forgiveness. And, the other spouse not thinking you meant evil or something like that, or it just takes a whole lot. And Candace, a young lady on here, she commented on Facebook. She said, I guess we was talking about, I believe it's a comment extending from, we was talking about the God factor. She put woo because I'm not Jesus. And that's something that we have to factor in also too. We have Christ in our life, but we're not married to Jesus.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm married to you. I'm married to you. You married to me.
Exactly. Remember, we had a show one time where we talked about, if you are married to a pastor or a leader in the church, how do you leave that at the front door and become husband or wife?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a big
we sure did. We sure did have that topic. Like, how do you, and we're still talking about long lasting marriages. Like, how pastor, or we're not even a pastor. Hey, you married to a minister. You're married to somebody in a gifting of the body of Christ who is active in ministry. And then we talked about it from two perspectives. We talked about it, maybe one is and one is not, or maybe both is. How do you leave? Now you can't. Now it's who you are, but how do you leave all of that at the door and be the husband? Okay, now we know you're the apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher. That's your identity. That's your identity in the spirit. That's who you are. But at home, how do we? It's not that we're laying it aside, but how do we separate? We can't really separate, but how do we handle that in our homes without it being confusion? Without it being an argument? Because sometimes, me and my husband, we had those times where I would say to him, listen, can I talk to my husband? I want to talk to the apostle right now. I want to talk to my husband. And he say to me, listen, I don't want to talk to Prophetess Lucas. I want to talk to my wife. You know, I want to have conversation on. So how do we, because listen, ministry can, if you don't handle ministry right and you don't handle your giftings right, it can destroy a marriage. It can cause for divorce. It can cause for separatism. You know what I'm saying? You got to know when to travel, when not to travel. You got, you know, when do you separate that?
Yep. And if you go outside of biblical work, if you got a demanding job, or you have some big title in your job and you have to travel, all of that goes into the marriage as well. So even if it's not ministry and you bring work home, you have to learn how to let that work. Okay, there are certain hours that I can't work. I need to spend time with my husband.
Yes.
Yeah. So all of that factors into it. I agree.
All of that factors, the outside, all factors into having a long lasting marriage. And it all of what we're saying also too for you all, we're talking about balance. How do you balance, you know, how do you balance all that? Because it takes a person, you know, as they say, women, we are multitaskers. We can, what's the commercial? Bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan. We can change Pampers at the same time. We can give our husbands a kiss on the forehead while he walked by. We can wash the clothes. We can, you know, we're multitaskers, but men are really not like that. You know, so how do we bring balance to all of this in a home? We talked about ministry. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us are really in ministry, you know, and even if we're not in some type of title or some title position, because we're in Christ, we're still in some type of position. You know what I'm saying? We're still something. But how do we balance all of that in a home? We got a husband to balance. We got a wife to balance. We got kids to balance. Like you said, God forbid you traveling. You got a job to balance. You have and then not only that, Marie, you got house, you got, listen, God forbid issues and circumstance come into marriage. God forbid infidelity, some type of abuse, some type of something, aggravation or stress coming to marriage. Now you got to balance all of this and yet say, until death do us apart. When you about ready to kill somebody, you about ready to kill him. He about ready to strangle you around your neck. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's about a long last. So we really don't know. You know, somebody said Candace said on Facebook, she said she's still trying to balance after 8 years. Yes, it's always balancing.
It's always going to be a balance. Because when one factor is gone, whenever you take one of those factors out, another factor is going to come in. So now you got to balance that. So it's going to be a balance. Yeah, it's going to be a balancing act through your entire marriage.
Entire marriage, because you evolve in marriage, you grow in marriage. You know, you're not the same whippersnappers when you first got married. You know, things are changing. First of all, we're both getting old. Right. We're not bunny rabbits no more. We are not bunny rabbits no more. We're older. Things slow down. Things grow. Things happen. So, you know, we're not those type of people we was when we first got married. You know, sometimes maybe the laughter may cut down a little bit. Maybe. Yeah. And you and your husband's marriage now, the passing of your daughter, and now you have taken on a responsibility. Right. You guys taking on a responsibility. You're raising your granddaughter when, you know, and I would just say this, but, you know, just, you know, when this is your time, you guys are older, growing in yourself. You never would expect to raise any grandkids. No. Never. But you are left now to raise your you raised all your kids. Yeah. But now you have a factor that has entered into your mind. It's changing with the times and the seasons, you know. And so now you talk a little bit about that, Marie, that factor, raising your granddaughter. Now, how is the dynamics of you guys' relationship change? Like, what is the dynamics of that?
So just to bring everybody up to speed, our youngest child is 25. We lost our 30-year-old in March. She died of heart disease. And so we are now raising our 7-year-old granddaughter. It was no question for us to raise her. It was no question. That's what we're going to do. We're going to raise. And it was something that we had talked about because we knew my daughter was going to die. And so it was something that we had talked about prior and took care of it legally and all of that kind of stuff. So we ended up with our granddaughter. It has definitely changed the dynamics of our marriage. Because now it's back again as if we're raising children. You got to be quiet. When it comes to certain things, you got to be quiet. And then we have to factor in, we now got this pandemic, so we homeschooling.
Yes.
Yes. And so, and everywhere we go now, we have to take the baby with us. There's no who we going to sit her with and all of that kind of stuff, because in my mind as a mother, only thing that plays in my mind is that I don't want to disappoint my daughter. And I know
yes.
I don't. I know I put that on my husband, and I have been exceptionally blessed because Mike is a very amazing and understanding husband.
Yes.
And so, but it takes a lot of communication with us. We talk about everything. Like, okay, Mike, we got to get shoes. We got to get clothes. Okay, what are we going to do about sending her to school when school starts? And with me and Mike, what works is we talk about everything. We have to, because there's this new dynamic. But we're back to being, me and Mike wasn't together when we was younger, but it was like when we was younger, you back to sneaking and being quiet and, doing things differently. And now we got this little person in the house. But I'm going to tell you, she brings so much joy to our house. It wasn't what we planned for our lives, but she's been an amazing blessing to us. But it did take a lot of communication, and it still does on a day-to-day basis. What time you going to be home? Okay, I need to be somewhere. Somebody got to get the baby. It's just a whole lot of communication and understanding. That's all.
I'm sure it is. And for you down on Facebook, I know y'all can't see my sister guest that I'm talking, because I have not. I think if I would have did it earlier, if she had 2 phones, she had her husband's phone, she would be on one phone like I am. She would be on one phone, and then she could be on the other phone, and then I can tag her in, and then y'all can see her actually live on Facebook. Right. But she's working on one phone, so that's why I didn't ask her to come in, because this one would have cut her off. So the next time when I have her, because it will be a next time, she's got to have 2 phones, okay? So then you guys can be able to see her. But anyway, we have 3 minutes left. And so what our conversation was is there a lasting marriage? And what does lasting marriage look like? What does it mean? Because everybody has their own definition of marriage, a 60 and 70 year, 80, we're talking about listen, I was married for 25 years. That was a lasting marriage, but to have made it to 60 to 70 to 80 years marriage, that's a lasting, long time marriage. And I think I'm going to seek out somebody who has been married that long. And I think I'm going to have them on a guest. I think I'm going to have them on, and I want to talk to them about that. Yeah. Because they got some nuggets. 80 years of marriage, you got some nuggets. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got something to tell us that's been married.
Yes, definitely.
Talked about tonight, and I'm happy that I was able to have my sister on. I'm trying to figure out a way where I can get everybody, but it's only a half an hour show, so I pretty much call on her. She's right here about 15 minutes away from me. She is actually right here. So I don't try to go too far, because she's right here. And so that's why I call on her and I pull on her, because she's right here, right around the corner. And so I'm trying to figure out something. It's only a half an hour show. where we can get I don't know if we get it, but right now it'll probably just be me and her. I'll be bumping just me and her for a minute right here until I can get it. So I'm gonna have her on often because I like to bounce ideas off and I like for us both to talk. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Sharon. Sharon and them said they enjoyed both of us. Oh, they can't see you, but they enjoyed our commentary.
Yes, thank you.
They enjoy, but
you.
you're gonna see her. You're gonna see her the next time. We're gonna set it up where you go. If she had to come here, or Pastor Larry said we can meet at the studio. He said we can do it from the studio too. So maybe if we meet at the studio, or I can come to her. However, you're going to see her the next time that we're going to make it happen. You're going to see her, both of us at the same time.